Good morning from Sedona, and the topic today is kind of not a happy one. Motorcycle related fatalities are going up year after year after year since 2020. And we can, postulate why and how. Excessive speed, definitely, your chances of maybe, collision avoidance or obstacle avoidance, whatever, goes down as speed goes up. And left turners in front of motorcycles because of lack of visibility of the bike or what have you. Those are really, they're sitting at the top. So what can we do as motorcyclists to mitigate that threat? The way I see it is training. There was I don't believe there was any injuries, but apparently a really nice road glide rear-ended a vehicle. And there was no impairment, but the rider was riding dirty, and he knew better because apparently he'd been riding for years and years and years. Now, I've been riding bikes for since I was like 7, 8 years old, but I didn't know how to properly and professionally operate a motorcycle until I went to training to get my endorsement many years later. And it was only then that I realized how wrong I was doing things and how at risk I was putting myself because I didn't know how to do low speed maneuvers. That's why on the Harley Rider Academy, MSF pushes hard low speed maneuvering, because if you can master low speed maneuvering, you've mastered the motorcycle. Okay, continue training. So back to this gentleman and his partner that rear-ended this car, riding dirty, and simply couldn't stop in time. Maybe wasn't looking ahead. Who knows? I don't know the details of the case, but basically, it's one thing if you're rear-ended on a motorcycle by a passenger car or another bike, because obviously it's a smaller silhouette in front of you. But to rear-end a vehicle, well, it happens. Motorcyclists do that. It's so important because one of the components of the MSF course that you have to pass in order to get your endorsement is emergency stopping. And theirs is very tame. It's like, all right, you got to get up to 15 miles an hour. And, at the beginning of the line, begin to apply your brakes. If you lock a brake up, that's okay, as long as you maintain control. But, maintain a safe distance and constantly train. It's a diminishing skill set. And like objects that propel things downrange, that's a diminishing skill set, and you want to make sure you stay in a training pipeline there. Don't neglect low-speed maneuvering. I have these little things, they're called camel cones, and they're the little squatty ones, and you can set up a course and just practice, find an empty parking lot, which is kind of hard to come by here in Sedona, especially flat ones. I don't think there's a flat one here. You have to go down to Camp Verde or Cottonwood. But practice low-speed maneuvering, practice in and out, practice collision avoidance. It's also a component of the MSF test you have to pass. And then once you've reprogrammed yourself around low-speed maneuvering, and you have to understand this is all insurance to keep you safe. Go out into a municipality and start to, I call it reading the cars. It is true. If you can imagine yourself, invisible and made of glass. That's right. That's very accurate. If you pretend that you are invisible and made of glass, you will constantly have your head on a swivel. And I practice that because we have a very diverse group of people that come from all over the world here to patronize our businesses and take in the sights and do the hiking and stuff. And generally speaking, we call it they've been lobotomized by the beauty, so they're not paying attention to you. In fact, the Arizona Rider's Handbook, the ADOT Motorcyclist Handbook, suggests that during the daytime you run with your brights on. And in the case of the police bike over there, the Electra, I took the red and blues off and put in LEDs and configured it to where it doesn't matter what setting the lights are on, they come on full bright. So, that's visibility. Another thing you can do is, let's say, you're approaching and there's a left turner and they're waiting to make a left turn in front of you. Wigwag. So you do this because movement gets the brain's attention. Another thing you can do is make sure that you follow your T-clocks. It's tires, chassis, oil, so forth, lighting, and make sure your bike is as ready to go as it can be. As you're letting, in the case of Harleys, I let them warm up for a couple of minutes. I'm doing kind of my final T-clocks check and my walk around with the bike, and I make sure that it's ready to go. Ensure that you're in the proper state of mind. I'm not going to mention impairment because it should be a default. But impairment, like Arizona, is an impairment state, right? Now, by law, it's 0.08 is the threshold. Well, that's basically irrelevant because impairment could be lack of sleep, it could be prescription or non-prescription medication, not just alcohol and drugs. So, and another thing, emotionally, you have to be in the right state of mind. Don't get on this thing when you're pissed off. It's not going to be a positive outcome potentially. You want to be in that neutral, nice, calm, relaxed state. One of the things that really has helped me on the bike, because I really enjoy low speed maneuvering. It's a challenge. It's almost like a video game. So, but one of the things that really helped was I'm down about 37 pounds, and I'm getting, letting the dad bod go, and I'm kind of getting my uniform body back, and I feel great. But I also practice flexibility, because the more you're flexible in your hips and your knees and your shoulders, the more input control you're going to have over the bike in case you have to do an emergency maneuver to avoid, right? That helped. I had no idea it would make such a difference, but it really made a tremendous difference. I take glucosamine and chondroitin, which helps with joint flexibility and movement. It's basically like what they call motion lotion for your joints. But those are just a few of the things that you can do to ensure that you have a safe ride. I'm not too fond of group riding. And that's simply because you don't know, unless it's a known group, and I'm still looking for 3 or 4 riders where we can go out, but I want us to be at this skill level, right? And then to act responsibly. No excessive speed, no bumper diving, that kind of thing. Everybody has a very close level of training, and obviously I'm not going to ride with somebody who's riding dirty. It's just not how it'll go. But in certain groups, especially if it's a one-off event for charity or whatever, or if you're just riding with a diverse group of people, you don't know. It's kind of why I don't like it, but it's also just that's the way it is. The same can be said for operators of motor vehicles of 4 or more. You don't really know who's on the road with you. On the bike, you have to drive for them. You're riding it, you're also driving for them, and that's where I'll get back to. You can begin to read the motorists. You can begin to tell, their level of distraction. Especially if you're preoccupied by a device, or you're talking with a passenger or something. The car, the inputs will be very sudden and very reactive and corrective. And when I see a car that's doing that, it's just going to raise my level of awareness and alertness that this might be a problem sooner than later. If you can, now like in Sedona, I make a point of 2 or 3 times a week, I will just tour around town. And I treat it as basically a training exercise. And if just your head's on straight, it's on a swivel. I'm talking emotionally on straight, and you're physically, it's on a swivel. Your situational awareness will just continue to sharpen up to this level. I have 2 very close friends, and they're motorcyclists, but they're also motor officers. They're police officers that ride motorcycles, and professionally. And we will get into topics of okay, because they ride BMWs, and I have a police Harley, even though I'm not a cop. It's like it's built around a law enforcement officer and kit, and we'll discuss. All right, Lance, maybe next time lean forward a little bit, and roll your shoulders forward, and that helps. There's actually a couple of courses around the country where motor officers, or retired motor officers like Jerry Palladino, ride like a pro. So check him out. Wonderful, wonderful videos, and he will continue to tell you until the day he leaves this planet. Head and eyes, friction zone, head and eyes, Use your rear brake as, don't use it as a clutch, but it's a tool. It will assist you in low speed maneuvering. And finally, just train, invest in training. The Harley Rider Academy down in Mesa is cheap, considering that you're going to get trained, and then you're going to take the MSF portion of the skills test. They'll give you the card. If you pass it, you just go to the MVD and you get the endorsement added to your license, and that's the end of that. But then they offer intermediate and skilled and advanced and bike bonding. That's where you really want to be. I think it's like $150 or $160 for the basic course. They provide you the bike. It's that little Taiwan or Thailand manufactured little 350 Harley, little toy. But and Jerry will also bring this up, just because you're endorsed and you made it on a Honda 250 or that little teeny tiny Harley Davidson, don't expect to hop on this thing with this gigantic fixed mass of fairing right here loaded with tech. Not to mention the bike itself is darn near 900 pounds, and that's just rolling weight. Don't expect to be proficient in it, because you're not going to be. So sign up for the skilled course or one of the intermediate courses where you carry your own bike down, and they'll train you up on the motorcycle that you typically are going to deploy. So that's my 2 cents. As kind of an addendum, so motorcycle insurance, USAA does not issue policies through any of their agencies for motorcycle in the state of Arizona. They subcontract to Progressive. I've never had a minute's trouble, but I pretty much maxed my coverage out to include medical payments. So if God forbid something happens and they have to spin up the rotary up in Flag to come and get me, I want to make sure that there's cash and we're ready to rock and roll right then. It's not that expensive, and because you are basically invisible and made of glass, just take in mind that and I keep this as just kind of this is my own practice. Everybody has no insurance. They're out to get me, and they have no insurance. So the onus is on me, especially on 2 wheels or even 3. If for whatever reason there's a mishap, chances are you're going to have to marry yourself to the pavement or to the road surface or whatever. That's not a good thing. So if in the unlikely event that happens, make sure you have all the insurance that you can afford to cover you. I don't really care about the bike. The bike's replaceable, but me, because I want to be able to ride again. All right, well, that's about it. Take it for what you will. I will just leave you with this. Don't neglect training. I've been riding for 30 years and I've been doing it wrong, and I was man enough to say, you know what? I'm going to unlearn what I've learned over the years. I thought I was good. I actually sucked. I was a terrible, terrible motorcycle rider. And I couldn't believe how much at risk I was putting myself. But in order to mitigate that, train, watch some of Jerry's videos. There's a couple of motor officers that they're active duty that do some really good content too. So there you have it. Enjoy this beautiful time of year where we're transitioning from summer into fall, and get out there and stay sunny side up.